Before the missionaries came, before the judges, the schools, and the guns, there was a land, red earth, yam fields, a rhythm of life guided by ancestors, gods, and the wisdom of elders. In the heart of this land stood a man, not just any man, a warrior, a legend, feared in battle, ruthless in ambition. His name was Okonkwo. He rose from nothing, determined to escape the shame of his father. He built his life on strength, silence, and control. But what happens when the world changes and strength is no longer enough? This is not just the fall of one man. It is the slow unraveling of a whole way of life. Based on the groundbreaking novel by Chinua Achebe, this is Things Fall Apart, told like you've never heard it. The rise and the fall of Okonkwo. Come closer and listen well. Let me tell you the story of a mighty man of Umuofia, whose name once ranked like thunder across 9 villages, whose fame was craved by the strength of his arms and the fire of his will. His name was Okonkwo. Long ago, in the heart of Igbo land, where the red earth stained the souls of farmers and the yam fields stretched like dreams across the land, there lived this great man of ambition. Okonkwo was not born into greatness. No, he seized it. He rose from the shame of his father, Unoka, a gentle flute player who loved music but feared war, a man who died with empty pockets and a full belly of debts. Okonkwo despised weakness. From the day he won fame by throwing Amalize the cat wrestler undefeated for 7 years, he swore never to follow his father's footsteps. He built his life on hard work, violence, and iron discipline. He grew yams, the man's crop, and amassed titles, wives, and barns full of harvests. He was feared in war, strict at home, and respected by all. But with great pride comes a heavy burden. Now, the people of Umuofia were not just warriors and farmers. No, they were people of custom, of ceremony, of gods and ancestors. The oracle of the hills and caves spoke with the voice of the spirits. The Egugu, that is the masked elders, judged the dispute of men. Life beat to the rhythm of drums and kola nuts, festivals and funerals. Then came rippled in the still waters of Okonkwo's life. One day, Umuofia received a virgin and a boy from the neighboring village of Mbaino. That was a compensation for a murder. The boy's name was Ikemefuna and he was placed in Okonkwo's care. At first, the boy was afraid, but season passed and Ikemefuna grew into a beloved member of the household. He called Okonkwo father. He told stories, taught songs, and became a brother to Noe, Okonkwo's son, a boy who was soft-hearted and unsure in his father's stern shadow. But fate can be cruel. 3 years after his arrival, the oracle spoke again. Ikemefuna must die. Though the clan elders advised Okonkwo not to be involved, he feared looking weak. So, when the boy was laid in the forest under false pretense and the first strike did not kill him, it was Okonkwo, his own guardian, who raised the final machete. And when Ikemefuna cried out, "Father, they are killing me," the blade fell. A cold silence followed. Noe would never forget the moment he sensed the death of his friend. Something in him broke that day. Soon after, another tragedy struck. During the funeral of a great elder, Okonkwo's gun misfired and killed a clansman. A crime of accident. A female crime, but an offense nonetheless. And so, Okonkwo was exiled for 7 years to his motherland, in Banta, his home destroyed as the custom demanded. He went, bitter and defeated, clinging to the hope that he would one day return and reclaim his place in Umuofia. In Banta, he was welcomed by his uncle Uchendu, a wise and kind elder, who reminded Okonkwo that even the strongest man must sometimes bend like the tree in the storm. But Okonkwo could not bend. He brooded, counted the days and dreamed of returning to glory. But the world was already changing. During his exile, white missionaries arrived in Banta. They came with strange words and a strange God. At first, they were laughed at. They built their church on cursed ground and were expected to perish. But they didn't, and slowly they began to gather converts, the outcasts, the weak, the forgotten. Among them was Noe, yes, the son of Okonkwo. Now a young man, drawn to the gentle teaching of Christians, drawn away from the harshness of his father's world. When Okonkwo discovered his conversion, his rage was volcanic. He beat the boy, cursed him and cast him out. But the tide had turned. When Okonkwo's exile ended and he returned to Muofia, he expected to find his people waiting for his leadership. Instead, he found a changed village. The white men had come there, too, with government, schools, soldiers, courts and prisons. Some of elders had joined them. Others were silent, and the youth were no longer sure of the old ways. One day, a Christian convert desecrated a sacred Igbo shrine, and in response, Okonkwo and others burnt the church to the ground. It was an act of defiance. But the British district commissioner responded swiftly. He imprisoned the village elders, shaved their heads and demanded fines and humiliation. When they were released, Okonkwo was a man on fire. He called for war, for resistance, for Muofia to remember who they were. At a great village meeting, he spoke to rally the people. A white court messenger arrived, demanding they disperse. And right there, in broad daylight, Okonkwo drew his machete and struck the man dead. But the crowd did not cheer. They did not rise. They stared in silence. And in that silence, Okonkwo understood. His people would not fight. His world had changed beyond recognition. Alone, disgraced and without hope, he made one final choice. They found him the next day, hanged behind his compound. A warrior who could not live in a world that would no longer follow the drumbeats of his ancestors, was now an abomination, denied burial by his own people. When the district commissioner heard of it, he looked at Okonkwo's lifeless body, then turned to his book, a book he planned to title The Pacification of the Primitive Tribes of the Lower Niger. He thought Okonkwo's story might make a good paragraph. Just a paragraph. And so, the great man of Muofia became a footnote in a foreign history. The story of Okonkwo is not just about one man's fall. It is the story of a people, a culture, vibrant, flawed, strong and torn apart from within and without. Chinua Achebe, the wise storyteller who penned this tale, gave voice to a silenced past and warned of what happens when power crushes understanding. May we remember, may we listen, may we not let things fall apart again. Welcome to Top Reads. Remember to subscribe, like and share. Bye bye for now.